What is the American family? A quick Google image search will tell you that it's fairly inclusive in terms of race, but perhaps less inclusive in terms of gender and non-heteronormative relationships. There are overwhelmingly images of families with straight parents and one male and one female child. Because 55% of American families live in the suburbs, let's try searching suburban family. In this instance, we see very few Black, Indigenous, and people of color represented. Ironically, there's an image of a Muslim family near the top, but it is connected to an article about how they feel uncomfortable living in the suburbs. If the majority of American families now live in the suburbs, why do they appear so exclusively white? To better understand this, we have to look at where the suburbs started. They began as utopian visions for an affordable life outside of the city. William Levitt, designer and developer of the nation's first suburb, Levittown, conceived of neighborhoods in which the houses could be prefabricated and built cheaply and easily. In many cases, early suburban communities entirely excluded people of color, initially cementing suburbs as white social enclaves. But in order to entice people to leave the city and commit to a longer commute to work, advertisements needed to emphasize not just the space but also the lifestyle, one in which race and gender roles within the households were very prescripted. While today's suburban homes are a bit larger, they follow the same logic and formal design initiated by William Levitt in the 1950s, now with neo-historical applications on the facade. Because of this, our mental image of what a suburban family looks like today is still deeply connected to the advertisements of the 1950s, and therefore the same race and gender roles persist. But there are trends showing that the racial demographics of the suburbs are changing. Non-white people are moving to the suburbs in larger numbers than ever, and with that, the image they project shifts and also influences the national dialogue and affects political change, as we saw in the 2020 election, especially in places like Georgia and specifically Cobb County.
To understand the political and cultural shifts, look at Cobb County.
It's changing. I know Cobb County was more Republican, and now we've had a lot of move-ins.
Since 2010, Cobb County has outpaced growth in Georgia as a whole. During that same time, Cobb County also grew more diverse, more highly educated, and residents there had a higher median household income.
Mableton, a suburb in Cobb County, is both the land of the Cherokee and Creek people and a former antebellum plantation. Today it exists as a traditional American suburb with persistent and ongoing neighborhood developments. One of such developments currently under construction is Willowcrest, which sits just about 1 mile up the road from the former plantation house. The suburbs aren't going anywhere, so the way we design and construct homes there needs to evolve past the 1950s. This project, entitled Nuburbia, specifically interrogates the neighborhood and housing typology of the suburbs, understanding the necessity of low-density housing in these areas, but improving upon the social and communal structures that support the houses. The project also considers sustainability through carefully considered landscape and by lowering the individual housing footprints. Nuburbia promotes new approaches to occupying land and building better homes for America's changing social and cultural landscapes. The affordable and adaptable community and homes intend to serve the wider variety of people moving to the suburbs, acknowledge and learn from the Cherokee and Creek and former plantation land they occupy, and offer new images and spaces for shaping American cultural and political ideals.